Today we're talking about galleries and finding a gallery to represent you and hopefully sell your work, right? So I have a unique perspective on this because I've been both a full-time professional artist for my entire adult life, over 30 years now, and for almost 20 years I ran my own gallery. So I understand both sides of the coin. And so when you're looking for a gallery to represent you, there are a few things that you want to look for and a few things to watch out for. For example, there are a few red flags, like if the gallery doesn't even read your bio, can't speak intelligently about the qualities that make your work unique, that's a big red flag. And I've experienced this. I've had representation twice before in two different galleries in Scottsdale, Arizona, for example. And in both cases, I sent a friend to do a walkthrough, someone who they didn't know was a friend of mine. They came into the gallery and they casually asked about my work, and the staff there had obviously not even read my bio. They couldn't speak to the qualities that make my work valuable and unique, things like paint quality, edges, design, color sense, all the things that make my work mature and desirable. They could speak to none of that. So that's a huge red flag. Also, the gallery needs to be willing to be communicative. If you send them an email or place a call, they're going to be busy. They may not respond immediately, but they should respond within 24 hours. They should also be willing to give you some input. After a couple of months of showing your work, you should be able to go in and talk to them and say, hey, what have you noticed? Which pieces are being completely ignored and which ones are getting more comments from people? And ask their opinion about the direction you might go in the future to improve your sales. I'm not suggesting you paint just for sales. I always want to paint things that I'm truly inspired to paint, but I can be thinking about things that the gallery has suggested and see if I get inspired to paint something along those lines. I also don't hesitate to ask them about sizes and prices and framing. And of course, you're going to negotiate your split, whether it's 50-50 or 60-40. And you want to know about a payment schedule. How long are they going to take to pay you? I once had a gallery that wanted to pay me only twice a year. And I said, no, not acceptable. I need you to pay me within 60 days maximum. It should be 30 days within the sale of the painting, but for accounting purposes, if you want to round it off to the next month, fine. But I should never have to wait more than 60 days to get paid. That is reasonable, that's professional, and if they're not willing to do that, don't work with them. And also, I always try to negotiate a display. And this is vitally important. You want to have 4 to 6 paintings on the wall year-round in a coherent, cohesive display, clustered together. Not a painting here and a painting there and a painting over here as filler when they've sold other people's work. No, your paintings should be hung as a body of work in a clustered, coherent display. It should be at least 4 pieces year-round, and once a year, you should be a featured artist. I'm not saying that you have to demand a one-person show, but they will often have some group shows, and at least once a year, near their peak time of year, you want to be one of the featured artists so that you can go in, attend the opening, be in the spotlight, talk directly with clients. Maybe you even do a demonstration or something. It's a chance for you to invite all your friends and family and followers there. You can promote it on social media, do video of it, etc. And this is important in growing your brand, and it's also great for the gallery. So they should be willing to agree to this. If you go in after a couple of months and you find that they've moved most of your work into the closet because they're featuring one of their prime artists, for example, then you need to talk to them and say, listen, I don't mind being moved from one wall to another, but I do want to maintain the minimum we agreed to, let's say 4 pieces on the wall at all times. If you walk in and there's just 2 paintings in a dark corner, well, that's not good. So you need to gently remind them of your agreement, because they will try to do this to you. They'll forget, or they say they forget. So remind them that that is your agreement, and you would appreciate if they honored their word. The main thing, though, is just enthusiasm. As I said, I've dealt with big galleries in the past, and in my case, it's never been all that great. I've had better luck with smaller galleries who are enthusiastic about my work. Why? Because when a potential client comes in and hesitates in front of my wall, my display, they will pop up, walk over, and start talking about my work with some enthusiasm. If the staff there hasn't even read your bio, can't speak to the qualities of your work, it may be kind of useless to be there. On the other hand, in a smaller gallery, they may not do the volume, but if they are excited about your work, that enthusiasm is contagious, and they will get the potential buyer excited about your work. And you may end up with a long-term collector who buys a piece from you every couple of years and comes to every opening and brings their friends. So it is just super vital to have that enthusiasm. So I'll give you an example of something that happened to me recently. I was contacted by a small gallery, actually a new gallery, in a town here in Portugal where there are no other galleries really. In fact, there used to be 3 other galleries and they all went out of business. So these are a lot of red flags, new gallery, red flag. In a town where there's basically no other galleries, red flag. And a gallery owner with not a ton of experience, another red flag. However, this gallery owner, he found me online and he did his homework. He read through and went over my entire website. I have a pretty robust website. He learned all about me. He followed me on social media. He fell in love with my work. He got to know about me. And then he contacted me and asked if he could buy a small painting. That's how he started our relationship. He asked to buy one of my paintings. And of course, as gallery owner, I gave it to him at the wholesale price. In other words, the same price I would have gotten had he sold the painting in his gallery. So, my 60%. So I went to deliver the painting and meet him for the first time. Now, this is a person who doesn't speak English, and I speak very little Portuguese. So my wife was interpreting. But despite the language barrier, I could feel his enthusiasm for my work. And he was really organized. He had actually written down a list of scenes in his town that he thought would make good paintings that he could sell. We talked about sizes of canvases and general price points that he thought were reasonable. And we talked about what kind of display I would have that he would guarantee me within the gallery. We agreed on a split and a timeline for payment. And then he paid me in cash for the small painting I had brought with me. And then he proceeded to take my wife and I out to dinner. Talk about a great way to start a relationship. Now, I have no idea if he'll be able to sell any or very much for me, but you can bet I'm going to do everything I can to support him. I'm going to go there in a couple of months and do a demo, try to bring in some extra clients. Once he's got my work hung, I'll be promoting it on social media. And, we're going to communicate regularly and try to fine-tune what I'm doing there until we figure out what works for me in his gallery. Will it be a huge amount of business? Probably not. But I would rather do a smaller business with someone who's enthusiastic and has a good business mentality, who treats me with respect and is going to communicate like a professional. So that's my advice to you. If you can find a gallery like that, someone who is just excited about your work, who's going to give you a good display, and who when a client walks in the door, they're going to talk about your work with love and enthusiasm, because that is contagious and that's what you want. If you found this video useful, please like and subscribe, and don't forget to visit my website at codydelong.com. I'll see you in the next video.